Hey. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Olivia's Corner. I'm Olivia. I tell stories. I do cosplay. I am a dungeon mistress for D&D. Mostly I tell stories. And work on things. If you would like to be a part of this process in the long term, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you get notifications when I post new content. Welcome aboard. This week we're going to talk a little bit about tropes in storytelling. In tropes, I am including things like if you've been on Tumblr or Pinterest long enough, people talk about like the coffee shop AU hereby meaning alternate universe, where they put their two favorite characters into a coffee shop setting to meet for the first time, and it's adorable. I'm including things like the pretty elf, and the princess locked away in a tower, and the hero that has to go on a journey to rescue the princess. These kinds of things are tropes. They're things that we expect to see in movies and end up being predictable. Now, I'm not quite sure why my generation went through a long stretch of, it's too tropey, I can't do it. But we did. And I, as a writer, would like to reclaim some of them. Because the reason that they are tropes is because they have worked well in communicating an adorable story that we've loved for so long. I think that we can still use the tropes and give them a spin, and they're still entertaining. So, you know me, one of the things that I love to write is taking a classic story and twisting it to be inclusive. So, where I hear stories about someone in need of rescuing and some hero rising to the challenge, I want to be the hero. I kind of also want to be the princess. Some of this is coming about because I'm reading about the hero's journey, and I love learning about the hero's journey. But it's a story that's been told for 1,000 years and is still effective. It makes me wonder how many times we've said, I've heard this story before, and not realized that, yes, you have, because it's in every story, and people have done a good job of putting twists on it so that it's not so obvious every single time. I think I've said this before, but I know that when I was getting into D&D, I was afraid to create your classic, pretty, cutesy character, and it meant that for a year, I played characters I was only mediocrely interested in. And then I created Ellery, and she is my soul. And I love her to pieces and feel like she's a huge part of me. And she's a pretty elf. I went with it. Now I get to be a pretty elf on a regular basis, and it makes me really happy. Basically, the moral of my story is I think we're moving back around to, do what makes the serotonin. Do what makes you happy. And if that's making a pretty character or liking kids' movies because they have the tropes that make your heart happy, like the shit out of that stuff and don't be afraid to say it. Who the fuck cares? We're only on this rock for how long? Maybe 100 years? Probably less. Like the things that make you happy. I think I only came about this way when I started to discover that I am gay, because like the things that made you happy is a motto, I feel like, in the gay community. If you've been raised in the church, you gotta work on liking the things that make you happy. So, to that point, the vacation that I went on recently, one of the places I got to go was to Disneyland, and I went to the Magic Kingdom, and there were princesses there, and they waved at me, and I saw them, and I waved back to Tinkerbell. She was up on this, floating, I think it was a treasure chest. We saw Princess Elsa, Queen Elsa, sorry, and we saw Rey from Star Wars, and she smiled at me, and it made my heart so happy. If I hadn't gone over to the thing to, see what she was doing and interact with her, I would have missed out on some serotonin that has carried me through the last week. If you need any more convincing, I can sing you Disney songs. The first thing that comes to mind is from Tangled. Just when the guy says, "Go, live your dream." And then Flynn says, I will. And he says, not you. Your dream sucks. I was talking to her. So go. Live your dream. You can do it. Be the character that sparks joy. Be the angsty character that also sparks joy. It doesn't have to be a cheerful character. Okay, this has been a weird kind of, maybe hopefully inspirational episode. But thank you for joining me. I'm glad you showed up, and I'm glad that you're here. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye. I didn't close the windows again. That's supposed to be right there. Oops. What if I just the rest of the episode with my hand right here? But hello. As a writer, would like to... Okay, let's try that part over. Because the reason that they are tropes